Every year, countless lives vanish without a trace. They are here one moment and gone the next, leaving behind a void that can never be filled. Families are left in anguish, searching for answers that never come. They disappear into the shadows, swallowed by the night, as if the earth itself has opened up to claim them. The darkness becomes their shroud, and their stories fade into obscurity, leaving behind only whispers and unanswered questions. Personal belongings scattered like breadcrumbs, hinting at lives abruptly interrupted. Each item tells a story of its own, a silent witness to the tragedy. This is the grim reality of the Highway of Tears, a desolate stretch of road in British Columbia, Canada. A place where the wilderness meets the road and the road meets the unknown. A place where beauty and tragedy collide. The serene landscape hides a sinister secret, a juxtaposition of nature's splendor and human sorrow. A place where hope fades with every passing mile. Each step taken on this road is a step further from safety, a step deeper into the unknown. The Highway of Tears is not just a road, it is a chilling testament to loss and despair. It stands as a stark reminder of the lives lost and the justice that remains elusive. For decades, this notorious stretch of Highway 16 has been plagued by a string of disappearances and murders, mostly of young Indigenous women. Their absence is a haunting echo that reverberates through the communities. Their stories, often untold and forgotten, paint a heartbreaking picture of vulnerability, systemic failure, and the enduring legacy of colonialism. Each face, each name is a reminder of the urgent need for change and the relentless pursuit of justice. The Highway of Tears winds its way through 720 kilometers of rugged wilderness, a stretch of road that has seen more than its fair share of sorrow and mystery. This highway, often shrouded in mist and shadow, holds stories that are as haunting as the landscape itself. Connecting the city of Prince George to the coastal town of Prince Rupert, it serves as a vital artery for those travelling through British Columbia. Yet, for many, it is a road they wish they never had to traverse. This isolated highway, flanked by dense forests and towering mountains, has become a sinister symbol of fear and uncertainty. The dense foliage and rugged terrain provide a perfect cover for those with malicious intent, making it a perilous journey for the unwary. For the families of the missing, it is a constant reminder of their agonizing loss. Each photograph on a mantle, each candle lit in vigil, tells the story of a loved one who vanished without a trace, leaving behind a void that can never be filled. The highway cuts through the traditional territories of many First Nations communities. These lands, rich in culture and history, are now marred by the pain of loss and the fear of the unknown. For these communities, the disappearances are not just statistics, they are personal tragedies. Each missing person is the story of a life interrupted, dreams shattered, and families left in perpetual mourning. Each missing person represents a daughter, a sister, a mother, a friend. Their absence is felt deeply, a constant ache that never truly goes away. The support circles and community gatherings are a testament to the strength and resilience of those left behind. Their absence leaves a gaping hole in the fabric of these communities, a wound that refuses to heal. The memorials, the flowers and the candles are symbols of a collective grief, a shared sorrow that binds these communities together in their quest for justice and closure. To understand the tragedy of the Highway of Tears, we must confront the dark history of colonialism in Canada. For centuries, Indigenous peoples have faced systemic discrimination, poverty and violence. This legacy of oppression has created a climate of vulnerability, making Indigenous women and girls particularly susceptible to violence. Generations of Indigenous children were forcibly removed from their families and placed in residential schools. These institutions, designed to assimilate Indigenous children into Euro-Canadian culture, were rife with abuse, neglect and cultural genocide. This trauma continues to reverberate through Indigenous communities today, contributing to the social and economic marginalization that makes Indigenous women more vulnerable to violence. The exact number of victims along the Highway of Tears remains unknown. Official estimates range from 18 to 40, but Indigenous communities and activists believe the true number is far higher. Many cases go unreported due to mistrust of the police, fear of retribution, and the painful stigma surrounding violence against Indigenous women. These disappearances follow a chillingly similar pattern. Young women, often hitchhiking or traveling alone, vanish without a trace. Their families are left in a state of agonizing limbo, clinging to hope while grappling with the grim possibility that their loved ones are gone forever. Section 5. Faces in the shadows. Behind the statistics are real people with names, faces and stories. Each photograph represents a life interrupted, a family left in anguish, and a community searching for answers. These women are more than just numbers. They are cherished individuals whose absence is deeply felt. Ramona Wilson was only 16 years old when she vanished in 1994. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through her community, leaving her family in a state of perpetual grief and uncertainty. Ramona was a bright young girl with dreams and aspirations, all of which were cruelly taken away. She was last seen hitchhiking near the town of Smithers. The lonely highways and rural roads have become a haunting reminder of her last known whereabouts. Despite extensive searches and investigations, the mystery of her disappearance remains unsolved. Her body was found a year later, but her killer has never been brought to justice. The discovery brought some closure, but also a renewed sense of urgency to find the person responsible. The pain of not knowing who took her life continues to haunt her loved ones. Tamara Chipman, a young mother of 23, disappeared in 2005. Her disappearance left her child without a mother and her family in a state of despair. Tamara was a loving mother, a devoted daughter, and a cherished friend. She was last seen near Prince Rupert. The bustling town and its surrounding areas hold the last memories of her presence. Despite numerous efforts to locate her, Tamara's fate remains a painful mystery. Her case, like so many others, remains unsolved. The lack of answers is a heavy burden for her family, who continue to seek justice and closure. Each unsolved case is a stark reminder of the ongoing crisis and the need for more action and awareness. These women and countless others are not just names on a list, they are vibrant individuals whose lives were tragically cut short. Their stories deserve to be told and their memories honored. Each face on the memorial wall represents a life full of potential and love. They are daughters, sisters, mothers and friends whose lives were tragically cut short. Their families continue to fight for justice, keeping their memories alive through vigils, tributes and relentless advocacy. The pain of their loss is a call to action for all of us to ensure that no more lives are lost in the shadows. Section 6. A broken system. The tragic reality of the Highway of Tears exposes the systemic failures in Canada's justice system. The low resolution rate of these cases is a stark indictment of the indifference and neglect that has plagued investigations into missing and murdered Indigenous women. For years, police investigations were hampered by inadequate resources, racial bias, and a lack of cultural sensitivity. The disappearances of Indigenous women were often dismissed as runaways or drug overdoses, perpetuating a cycle of indifference and inaction. Section 7. Voices in the Wilderness. In the face of tragedy and injustice, the families of the missing and murdered have refused to be silenced. They have tirelessly campaigned for justice, raising awareness about the crisis and demanding accountability from law enforcement. Their courage and resilience have inspired a national movement for change. Indigenous activists and community leaders have played a pivotal role in bringing this issue to the forefront of Canadian consciousness. They have organised marches, vigils and public awareness campaigns, demanding action from the government and an end to the violence. Section 8. A glimmer of hope. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the urgency and magnitude of this crisis. The Canadian government has launched a national inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, acknowledging the systemic nature of the violence and the need for concrete action. While the inquiry's final report has been met with mixed reactions, it has undoubtedly brought greater attention to this issue. It has also led to increased funding for investigations, support services for families, and initiatives aimed at preventing violence against Indigenous women and girls. Section 9. A plea for justice. The Highway of Tears stands as a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of Indigenous women and the urgent need for justice. It is a call to action for all Canadians to confront the dark legacy of colonialism and work towards reconciliation. These tragedies are not merely statistics, they are human lives lost, families torn apart, and communities forever changed. We must remember their names, honour their memories, and continue to fight for a future where no one has to fear disappearing on the Highway of Tears.